considering COVID and the economy and everything else, I guess you can't really come down on them too hard.
God, gotta stand up.
We've not added in jobs recently, but
Lynn's already standing up. She's trying to give the mayor the hint.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's it.
Change that to
Sorry, it's a long.
Yeah.
we don't
You
know
had to
how
write
many
it
are
tiny,
watching us online.
or else it'd take up the whole
We don't know
book.
how many are watching
That's
online.
true.
That's okay. Our viewership is probably bigger than our audience.
We did do a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people watch the graduation online.
Yeah,
Several people come.
well, that's good when they can only give out so many tickets.
Yeah.
Can you hear it really well from your house?
We weren't home, so usually we can hear who's ahead in the football game.
Okay, if you'd all rise, welcome to June 3rd's Common Council meeting. We will start with the invocation by Diane. Thank you.
Father, tonight as we gather together, we especially thank you for those businesses that choose to locate in Warsaw to provide jobs for the people in our community and bring other people into our community as they fill those jobs. And we just ask as a council that we do everything that we can to encourage those businesses, but also to keep them accountable and true not only to the taxpayers, but also to their employees. We thank you for the privilege of being able to work with so many wonderful community partners. We also thank you for each person here. We ask that you be with those unable to join us tonight. Thank you for the way this council works together and each works individually to do their job and be prepared when we come to the meeting. Thank you for the good discussions that we have and the even better solutions that we come to because of those discussions. So guide us tonight, bless our deliberations, and help us work together for the good of the citizens that live in Warsaw. Amen.
Thank you. Now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome local media and welcome Jeremy. Long day, buddy. Yeah, good to see you. It looks like a long list tonight, so all good. For the record, Josh Finch, absent. Mike Clonderis, absent. And then also legal is not present.
Thank you.
No reports, oral, written.
Could you approve the minutes first, please?
Oh, yes, good. Thank you. Sorry about that. We do have the minutes from the 5/20/24 meeting. Thank you for that point of order, Lynn.
I think it's a short novel. Yeah.
Not by my doing.
Well, yeah, good that's in there. So Lynn was very patient in putting that in there. That's a good thing. So, good point. Thanks for doing that.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thanks again, Lynn, for catching that. No unfinished business. New business. Resolution 2024-0601. This is a transfer request from the IT Governance Committee for server network equipment.
And the transfers in the council budget.
You can see the memo, and then on the second page, you'll see it's Resolution 2024-0601.
They're not here, but do you guys know, did this come out of the security review that we just had done, this recommendation?
This is a recommendation from the IT Governance Committee.
Okay.
It is network equipment you can see in their their memo.
I move we accept Resolution 2024-0601.
There's a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? With that, I'll entertain the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you.
Jurgen, you did the second on that? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 2, tax abatements. Jeremy, you are on. Thank you again for staying today and being here tonight to take us through all of these. This is a good thing. This is a good-
So we've been gathering these for a while now, and rather than kind of piecemeal taking them one at a time, we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off all at once. So we can do this a number of ways. I can just go through all of them, and then you can take them as a lump, or we can do individually. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide what your preference is.
I like option A.
Yeah, and I do think with the laundry list, I think a good idea that you do read through. Council, obviously, if you have any questions or whatever, immediately ask Jeremy, and then we can, if Jack, if I understand you correctly, if there are no questions and the council is comfortable, there could be a motion to entertain all of them at one time, so.
Yep. So the first one is TecoMet. They applied in 2015, was originally Cemetery Medical, changed to TecoMet. They were granted a 10-year on personal and real property. They made the investments in both personal and real property, around $8.8 million. They have not added any additional jobs since the original filing, but they did make the investment they said they would. This is the 9th year of their tax abatement since 2015. The second one is Instrumental Machine and Development. This was granted in 2019 after we annexed in the industrial airport. They did a project around $1.9 million. They spent around $1.3 million in personal property. Keep in mind, personal property is just purely if you buy it, you get abatement for it. It doesn't have any jobs tied to it, and they are in their 4th year of their abatement. Little Crow Loss, they are in the 7th year of their abatement, and this is our contribution to affordable housing. So one of the ways you score points on affordable housing projects are, A, you can invest in the project itself, infrastructure, buildings. The other thing we get points for is giving tax abatements. It was about an $8.4 million rehab of the former Little Crow property. So they've made that investment, and we've supported that affordable housing project with the tax abatement. 802 Center Street, same thing, affordable housing project. We get points for giving them a 10-year tax abatement. They spent roughly $13.7 million on a 72-unit senior housing facility that is now open and occupied, and they are in their 3rd year of full assessment. I think they had a partial year of assessment. Flexos has had a number of tax abatements over the years. So they had some tax abatements in 2011 to 2013 and 2017. The original tax abatement in 2011 for real property, they spent roughly $650,000 and added 25 jobs since that time. This is their 10th year of abatement. In 2013, Flexos got another tax abatement for personal property at 1605 Center Street and 602 Lighter Drive. Estimated adding 40 new employees. They've added 98 since that tax abatement, and that is also in its 10th year. 602 Lighter Drive, 1605, and 1510 Armstrong in 2017. Flexos applied for a tax abatement for real and personal property. They've added 15 employees since that time, or they estimated adding 15. They've currently added around 77, and that is in the 6th year of their abatement. And you can kind of see there's a synopsis of, at the bottom, that total employees in 2011, 13, and 17, where those numbers came from. Lake City Highway AGM, this is the old Kmart, so it was a vacant building. We've granted them a tax abatement based on its vacancy. and refurbish of that building. They spent around $1.6 million refurbishing it, and they are in the second year of their abatement. The next few are from the Tech Park. So 1445 Polk Drive is Patrick Industries. That was phase one, the 60,000 square foot shell building, roughly $4.4 million. Real property improvements. Currently they have around 165 employees, and that is in the 9th year of the abatement. The second phase of Patrick Industries was they added on roughly around 64,000 square feet, like 63,300 some square feet, but another cost around $4.9 million, and that portion of the building is in the 5th year of its tax abatement. The first occupied shell building, Banner Medical, or not shell building, but that was the first building built and occupied in 2015. Roughly $5.1 million in property improvements, and Banner Medical, I think, has around 42 employees now, and that property is in its 8th year of abatement. 1195 Polk Drive was our second shell building, which was ultimately occupied by Nextremity, which became Med Artist. It was about 55,000 square feet, estimated cost around $8 million, and it is in its 5th year of abatement. The third shell building, which is partially occupied by Mentor Media at 1395 Polk Drive, was granted a 10-year tax abatement on real property, around 101,000 square feet, $11.3 million in real property expenditure, and it is in its 1st year of its tax abatement.
Can we
Yep.
stop there for a second, please?
Mhm.
So on the Banner Medical, it's just for the building and not for the personal property, right? Because we don't
Yes,
have that.
they have not submitted
All right.
one to date, yeah. And I did take that out of mine, sorry. So there was a couple of corrections. One was that was removed, and then at the end, we added in BTC Investments was added to the list. The next one is Texmo Precision Castings. They were granted a tax abatement in 2016. This was granted by the county. When we annexed them in, we took over that tax abatement. That was for both real and personal property. They estimated around $4.7 million. They spent around $2.8 in real property and $2.4 in personal property, and have added 59 additional employees since 2016, and that is in the 8th year of its abatement. The next one, 2427 North Boeing Drive, Lake City Heat Treating Corp., was granted a tax abatement in 2019 after we annexed in the industrial park and provided sewer. They did a project estimated around 4.8. They spent around 4.4 in personal property, and have hired 10 new employees since 2019, and that abatement is in its 4th year. Wildman Business Group, they've had a couple of different abatements over the years. The first one in 2014 was granted tenure on personal property. They expected around $2.1 million in equipment and spent around $2.1 million in personal property. And that, I don't have a date on that one, I'll have to check. Oh yeah, there it is. It says in its 10th year of abatement as well. In 2022, so a few years ago, we granted them another abatement for real property. They did in addition to their existing facility, and they have since hired 37 employees, and that is in its 2nd year of abatement. Zimmer's had a couple of different tax abatements over the years, but they were granted a 10-year tax abatement for 800 West Center Street. They estimated adding roughly $28 million in personal property. To date, they have added $12.3 million in new equipment, and that is in its 2nd year of abatement. They took over a tax abatement that was from Biomet, was issued by the county, in which Biomet had estimated $28 million in new personal property. They roughly spent $21 million in personal property, and that abatement is in its 7th year. Another Biomet Manufacturing one in 2022. So Biomet Manufacturing LLC was granted a 10-year tax abatement for personal property at 56 East Bell Drive. They estimated adding new manufacturing and R&D and logistic equipment. They've added around $3 million in new equipment and hired roughly 94 employees since that tax abatement, and it is in its 1st year of abatement. Patrick Industries also applied for a personal property tax abatement at the same time we were granting a real property tax abatement when they moved into the first shell building. They expended roughly $3.2 million on new equipment and currently employ around 205 employees at that location, and they are in their 6th year. The 3100 North Detroit Street, LeGrand AV, formerly Milestone AV Technologies, was granted a tax abatement for personal property. They roughly spent a little over $1 million in 2014. They've added 30 new employees since that time, or they estimated adding 30 new employees. They had not added any to date, but keep in mind it's a personal property, so they didn't have to add any employees based on our guidelines. That is also in its 10th year of abatement. Dalton Corporation, they filed for a tax abatement, I believe, last year. We were before the council on new manufacturing equipment, roughly $1.6 million in personal property. That was a 10-year abatement, and it is in its 1st year. And the last one, BTC Investments, was an addition to 133 Enterprise Drive. They expanded the building by 12,000 square feet, and it houses Serve IT. The project value is around $525,000, and it was granted a 10-year abatement, and it is in its 4th year of abatement. So there's a few of them. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
So Jeremy, in the past decade, there's been well over $100 million invested and hundreds of jobs
Oh, yeah.
in this, what we're looking at right here, if I'm just going through some of the numbers. Incredible. Any questions for Jeremy on any of them? Any specific questions?
So just reading through them fairly, earlier and then listening to you, it looks like the ones who needed to add employees have.
Most of them
For the
have.
most part.
There was some, like the original Symmetry Medical, they never met their job requirements in terms of real property. But they did make the investments. So it's a borderline. Keep in mind, ours are guidelines, so we're not structured to the point where if you don't meet it, we reject you. That gives the council the flexibility to make those decisions.
I'm pleasantly pleased with the economy, the way it's been, the number of businesses that have stayed strong and either maintained or added employees. That's great.
Yeah, I would say a lot of them have added employees, absolutely. I mean, Flexos has added a lot of employees, a lot more than they ever
Than
estimated.
they needed to, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Jack, as council president, are you comfortable with us entertaining a motion for all of them, since there aren't any more questions? And
I am, if there's no further questions.
Any
Everybody
objections
wants
to
to-
that? I will then entertain a motion to accept all as presented.
I'll move that we accept all the tax abatement requests as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All right, I'll ask the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's 5-0, passes. Jeremy, thank you for
Thank
all
you.
of your work. Thank you for presenting. Now get home. All right,
Yep.
Good, yeah, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Good. Next item is the 2025 nonprofit discussion. I'll turn this over to Cindy, and well, before I do that, thanks to Cindy for all of her work. She was in my office recently, and just appreciate all of your work on this. So what are we looking at here?
Okay, what you have before you are the parameters that we used in 2024
or for 2024. And if you recall, we did change things up a little bit because we were getting an abundance of different applications, and it was getting to the point where we weren't confident perhaps that we were, making the best use of the taxpayer money. And so Mayor Tolmer kind of skinnied it down to services that the city needs, but we find it pretty much not cost effective for us to try to provide those services. And I think probably one that's most noticeable would be animal control. For us to try to put on a department, have a building, have employees and everything would be very, very costly. And at this point, it is much more cost effective for us to contract with the Animal Welfare League to provide those services. Same with some of the others, like victims of domestic violence. Several years back, the city and the county each employed a person that worked with that. Some of their salaries were paid through grant monies. There were a lot of volunteer victim advocates, but over the years, when the parameters changed, liability reasons and so forth, I think it became wise for us to just work with the Beeman Home to provide some of those services. So what you have in front of you is a listing of the services that the types of services that we had decided upon last year that we would fund. And if there aren't any objections, after talking with Mayor Gross and everything, I think we were copacetic about keeping the same parameters for 2025.
Any questions for Cindy or any concerns that you have about that? There's been great effort by the council to make sure that we support nonprofit activity. And I just think, as a former council member, the efforts have been very good, wise, and I like the idea now that we're focusing on nonprofit services, like Cindy said, that we are not providing.
We did decide, since we're getting a little bit later start, and we kind of honed it in as to a certain percentage of the general fund, that we will give people this year until July 15th to turn the applications in, and the mayor's office will actually send out applications to those that we have funded in the past. That said, there could be other organizations that might come to us and ask for funding.
I think what Cindy's looking for is just general support that we move forward. A vote, I don't think at this time is needed. But any concerns, questions? If not, just a consensus here that it is okay to move forward and get these applications out to former nonprofits that have been awarded, and then obviously making the announcement tonight that any others that are interested and feel like they fit within these parameters should apply.
I'm just trying to think through what we awarded ARPA grant money to this year, because some services that previously had asked us for assistance didn't fit under this, and we were able to assist them through that. That'll be coming to an end. I think we have one more pot, or one more pot that we can still continue to provide for some of those needs.
Yeah, I think we've got a little over 27,000 left.
Okay.
And have an applicant, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We have an applicant
We
that
do.
we
Yes.
will have to
Yes.
meet and be able to either recommend or. The list here, you mentioned some of them that and basically these are contracts. It's not so much we're asking for assistance, but that we are
Contract.
contracting a service. And that's what, really what it has come to. We felt last year that this was a better use of city funds with all the nonprofits within the county, even just within the city. It could get to be very unwieldy. And I think we recognized this a number of years ago and tried to watch it very, very carefully to make sure that it didn't get out of hand, because every nonprofit out there is out there for a good reason, and it's a good cause. And it could very easily get well without, out of our range of being able to help. And then, but by going this way, this is a good use. I think public transportation, that was something we contracted with CABS, I believe.
CABS and the senior services that provides transportation for seniors.
Yeah, and of course, animal control, that was AWL, environmental protection.
Lilly Center.
Lilly Center, okay. Assistance for victims, that was
Beaman Home.
Beaman Home. So each one of them are actually doing things that we feel that as a city governmental body, we should, if we're not already supporting it, we should be. I mean, it is like animal control. That's something that we need to provide for the citizens one way or another. And this gives us a good avenue to help do that.
I think it made it more objective as opposed to subjective, that we were, choosing to issue grants or whatever to nonprofits, utilizing taxpayer money. This, we're actually contracting for services with these different organizations.
Now, if I recall correctly, aren't they supposed to give us a report as to how then they provided those services? And when is that due?
It is due in March of, it was due in March of 2024. We still have a couple. I think we've gotten most of the reports in. I know Whitney had only gotten a couple, but I personally have received a few. So, and they kind of tell us how they spent the money and the estimated number of Warsaw taxpayers they serve and so forth.
And that's one thing I think we need to continue to emphasize. So maybe when we send out the letter this time, we make it clear that we are expecting that report as requested on time.
And we did talk about that in our meeting, that maybe come mid-January of, it would be 2026, that we'll send a little notice out, maybe with a copy of that reminding them that this is due.
You mean 25? This next
Well,
January, we'll send.
Yeah,
Asking for
yeah,
24?
yes, we will for, 2024, and then we'll also do that for the next budget year.
I think it's important that we continue to do that.
I agree.
Cindy and I are looking for you guys. We just want to keep moving forward with this. Are you good with these parameters that are listed? And Jack and Cindy have highlighted some of them. Do we want to add to it? We're just wanting to make sure that you're wanting us to continue to move forward.
I'm comfortable with moving forward with the list we have. I don't know of anything else that we need to add to it. I'm sure that'll come up in the middle of the year when we don't have money for it, but that'll be, we'll deal with it as we come and then get it on. But I'm comfortable with it. I don't know.
Jerry, how do you feel?
That'll be all right.
Jerry?
Diane?
It looks like you got 5 nodding yes.
Okay. All right. We'll continue with this. Appreciate that. And again, thanks to all of you. Cindy here with recent efforts. Good. Are there any other matters? Other matters?
I guess we do have some scoreboards going up out at the CCAC.
Yes. Okay, the pictures, I did communicate with
Saw pictures.
some of you, yes.
I
and
hope to
so-
see some of them in
some-
action tomorrow night. Maybe they
Yeah.
may not be plugged in yet, but
Right.
they are going up, so that's a good thing.
Yep, I drove by there today and.
Yeah, good.
Up there.
Yeah, the support poles they didn't fit correctly, but they worked it out, and they started putting them up last week, so, good.
I'm waiting to see the fireworks go off behind them.
Okay, yeah,
The Salvation Army is getting their new roof, so.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sidewalks are going in at Sheridan Street.
Yes, it is really nice. I drove through there
Yes.
today, and it's nothing like sidewalks in front of a property that never had it. And boy, you can really, you drive down that road, and they'll continue to work their way south, and it's going to be really nice, so.
Residents are very appreciative. of
It's a
it.
lot of activity and construction, but like I've told
Yeah.
everybody, once the dust settles, and it'll just be really nice. It's a huge project, and I really think people, not just this summer, but as we start school in the fall, it'll just be so nice. So,
Mhm.
yeah, good point.
And all the utility poles are being replaced along Anchorage in anticipation of eventually
yeah,
getting
ready
to
for that
that,
one, huh?
so, yeah.
Continue to be patient.
I am.
I'm working on
We're
it,
trying.
yeah, so that's a huge project, but yeah,
It is
that's a
huge.
good thing.
Yeah, you
that's
see
happening
them
now.
all moving back and getting the setbacks that we'll need
Yes.
in order to,
There'll be sidewalks into that.
yeah.
That will be beautiful, and we're gonna get to it, but it's, I've told
Yeah.
you, there's been some delays there, so. Costs a lot of money, I guess.
does, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Costs more now than it did when we
I
started.
heard that in January, I did, darn it, yeah. Thanks, Diane, though, for your patience over there, as well as all the other residents, so many people use that road too, so. I will tonight, probably, yeah, so good, I'll be all right, so. Any other matters, any other comments? Okay, are there any comments or questions from our visitors? Welcome. Yeah, anything? You good? Yeah, we'll take it, good. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Jerry.
All right, so Jerry made the motion, Jack with the second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 The ayes have it, we're adjourned. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Get to go back to work.